And the THC, what it does is it will wake up your nervous system. So if you think about an electric grid and you energize that system so that way all the system is alive and functioning, right? And then the CBDs come behind it and they follow that electric grid to wherever there's a damaged part of that grid and they will start repairing it. Just naturally, they'll just fall into place. Now CBDs work on their own. You don't need THC to have it work. However, we feel that with THC you'll get more of a bang for your buck because you'll be waking up that nervous system so the CBDs can do their job. Whereas if you just take CBDs by themselves with no THC, not even a drop of THC, they'll still follow that same electric endocannabinoid system, but they'll end up falling into place instead of being driven into place. So I explain it like a engine on or a locomotive on a train, right? All the different cars in the train are the different compounds, CBD, CBN, CBG, da-da-da. THC is the engine of the train. So it drives it to wherever it needs to go and then drops off its cargo as it hits there, right? Fixes a little bit here, fixes a little bit there, okay, we're out, and then it disperses and then it's all over. Starts right back again with the next dose. So that's I guess, it in a nutshell. Are there any specific questions that I can answer? Like, I know some people have questions on how to get into the system. If you're going for medical marijuana and you want to experiment with the THC, you're going to need your card, your medical marijuana card issued through the state. And what that does is that gets you into the program. It's like, I don't know what the cost is. Each facility is a little bit different. But if you can get a prescription from your doctor, and you can go on to the LARA website, that's LARA, that's Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, and look up the medical marijuana program within their website, and that will give you a form to fill out to get into the program. So you'll need your doctor's prescription for medical marijuana, which you can get off the site. Yeah, Kristen.
What does the script have to say specifically? Diagnosis or what you're using it for?
That's a good question. It usually comes from the doctors, so I don't see those too much. I usually see the registration forms. So the prescription, I believe there's a form on that LARA website too to get a prescription. If not, I think you can just ask your doctor to write a prescription. I'm not 100% certain how that works, but I think you can have your doctor write a prescription just and then you could send that into the state to register with it.
And then what a diagnosis?
And with a diagnosis. Okay, yeah.
So not all doctors are very willing to prescribe.
No.
So how do you go about finding a doctor that you know will listen to you and prescribe for a child?
I can give you one that I know of. Let me give you a couple facilities. Number one is Dr. Proctor, Proctor. He is in Baldwin. So if that's close to anybody, he's really good. He's the one that actually saw me back in 2010. And no? No. For children you do? Ah.
When anybody asks a question, can I have you repeat it? So
Oh, yes, sir.
make sure we have it on.
Yeah. Yeah. For children, you need 2 doctors. Okay, so this is my first children's support group, so I'm not privy to that, but thank you for letting me know. Yeah, you need a second opinion.
And we went through green light.
Green light? Okay, so that's another one.
Flint and Burton.
Flint and Burton. Okay, and that's green light. There's another one called Denali Healthcare, and they're out of Grand Rapids. They also go all over the state. They go up to Petoskey and Cadillac and all over.
One in Mount Pleasant. They're only here on Thursdays.
Okay.
On Denali, it's right on Mission.
Yep. And then up in Traverse City, there's another one called Chronic Certification. They do them as well, but that might be a little far for you guys. But yeah, so then once you get your prescription and you get your second opinion, then you send in your form to the state and you can get into the program. Now, what that will allow you to do is that will allow you to go into dispensaries to get prescriptions or get medication for your children. Now, what you're going to have to do is, if you send in a card for your children, did you have to fill out a caregiver form as well? Okay. So because kids are underage and they're minors, they can't go in and purchase it themselves. All you have to do is fill out a form that says you're going to be their caregiver. There's no special requirements for it. It doesn't take anything but filling out a piece of paper stating that you're going to be that person's caregiver. And then what that does is that allows you then access to go into the dispensaries with your caregiver card, purchase the medication, and take it home and administer it to your child. So that's, yes.
Do you also do oils?
We do. Yep, yeah, we do oils, we do massage, we actually do topicals, which is great for arthritis. Kids that have atrophy from sitting in wheelchairs or being stationary for a long time, we have a really good topical lotion that we brought with us today. We also have these candies. This is probably one of our best sellers, and it's just like a Jolly Rancher. You guys have seen Lorraine's candies, right, that you make the hard crack for Christmas? That's exactly what this is, but it's infused with the CBDs that we use. So now if you don't want to go the THC route and you want to try just the CBD route, you don't have to go through anybody. You don't have to go through a doctor, you don't have to go through a clinic, you don't have to do anything. You just go to the health food store and buy some CBD oil. That's what Beverly does. The difference between that and what we use in this, the oil, and we got something new, Beverly, that I haven't told you about yet, but we haven't had a chance. We're constantly doing research trying to find the best products. So what we have found is a pharmaceutical grade CBD that is the drops that Beverly is getting is 2% CBD, and then the rest is like a grapeseed oil, hemp oil, something like that that's digestible, obviously, but it's in an oil. What this is an isolate. It's a powder, so it looks just like granular sugar is what it looks like, and it's water soluble. What's nice about that is, and it's 99% pure CBD. So what's nice about that is with the oil that we have, it's hard for our bodies to break down and absorb all that CBD, but because this is water soluble and we're mostly water, we can digest most of it and absorb, what was it, 90%? 90% of it. So this product that we found, yeah, and I've got some information on it that I'll pass out when we're all done. But yeah, that's the CBD route, and you don't even need to do anything for it. You can just go get it at the store. Yes?
How do you come up with specific dosages? Is it per child's weight? Is it, do you do any kind of levels? Because if you get too much, they can get paranoia.
Yeah, okay.
So how do you figure that
The
out?
question was how do we figure out dosage for kids? And to be honest with you, it's a trial and error. There is, when we start off, we always start with a really small dose, so that way we can kind of gauge where the child is at as far as their tolerance goes, because all of us are different. And then what we'll do is we'll step it up from there. So we'll start off with a really low dose, and then we'll graduate up from there. Now, the nice thing about cannabis, marijuana, is that nobody dies from it. Right? If you overdose from marijuana, you will wake up in the morning. You might feel a little hungover, a little off, a little not yourself, but nobody's ever died from cannabis, which is what's nice, is because then we can experiment with the dosages, right? If we get it a little bit too high, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to go to sleep or they're going to be up for a while. Like with Skylar, he was up for a while because we had him on a sativa and he couldn't get to sleep at night. So it's just dialing that dosage in, and if you go about it slowly, you'll be able to see the results, gauge the results, and then modify the dosage accordingly. So it takes some homework. What I suggest to everybody is they keep a journal, right? Keep a journal as to when it was administered, the effects that you saw right away, an hour later, 2 hours later, what was in their system, as far as food goes. Because when you're eating it, when you eat edibles, you have to have fat in your system in order to absorb the medicine, right? So like with narcotics, I don't know, most of us have had experience with narcotics. It's when we take the medication on an empty stomach, we feel them faster and more intense, right, than we do on a full stomach. Well, marijuana is the opposite. Marijuana is a fat-soluble product, so you need fat in your stomach. Buttered toast, it works really good for Sarah at night when she eats something, needs a little buttered toast to help kick it off. Because if you imagine, everybody's seen the board Pac-Man? Everybody play Pac-Man, right? So if you imagine all the dots on the board of Pac-Man, those are all the different compounds that are available in THC. Pac-Man is fat. So as fat eats all of those dots, you then absorb the fat, and all the medicine comes with it. So one of the keys to edibles is a process called decarboxylation. It's a really technical term, but all it means is there's, in the center of the molecule in cannabis, all the THC, the CBD, the CBN, the CBA, all of these are attached to a carbon atom. So I don't know if anybody here works in the hospital, but when you go to the hospital and you've eaten poison, what's the first thing that they do to your stomach? Pump it and pour some charcoal down it, right? Some carbon. Because we can't absorb carbon, we will pass it. So if we don't burn this carbon atom off of this molecule, what happens to everything that's attached to it? It's going to pass because we won't absorb the carbon. So we have to heat the compounds to a certain temperature, which then burns off that carbon atom. And now all those compounds are free floating, ready to be absorbed by your body, attached to the fat essentially. So that's the key. If you're going to experiment on your own, you'll have my email address, and if you wanted to experiment with something like that and decarboxylation and all that, you can contact me and I can walk you through it. But it's the key part of the process.
So Charlotte's Web is something that I read about all the time.
Yes.
It's a certain brand of CBD.
It is. If you,
The one everybody knows, like Target and Walmart.
yeah, and really expensive.
Okay,
And
you have your own. It's the same thing, or
yeah,
people would have their own, but
different
it's the same-
companies. Yeah.
same thing. Okay.
Yeah, and most of those, what's different about Charlotte's Web versus other CBDs that you buy on the market is Charlotte's Web came from a medical marijuana plant, right? All the other CBDs that are on the market right now mostly come from industrial strength hemp, right? Which is different than medical marijuana. But CBDs are present in hemp as well. So hemp, marijuana, cannabis, it's all kind of in the same family, right? But hemp doesn't have any THC. So that's where they extract the CBDs from. And just like all of us in this room are different, Charlotte's Web is different than Acapulco Gold, and all these different plants that have these different origins and have grown and developed in different parts of the world all have different kinds of levels in them. So part of, I don't know, the fun slash frustration of it is finding the right plant that fits exactly what you're looking for. So when you go out, if you go out to dispensaries, you're going to want to make sure that you have a report from Iron Labs. Is a really good lab here in Michigan. What they do is they take the marijuana from all of the farmers, whoever's distributing it, they'll test it, and we'll be able to see profiles, like it's got this much CBDs and this much THC and this much CBN, and that allows us to gauge it and see what works on who. CBNs are really good pain relievers. CBDs are really good for anti-inflammation and all kinds of other stuff. So if we can see a profile of a plant, we can then deal with each one individually with an individual plant strain that would, it's like fitting a key in a lock, right? You got to have the right key to the right lock. So, and that's the difference, and that's how it's,
I figured, people can get on Amazon, so I figured it was,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and that's what the CBDs, because they come from industrial hemp, they can pass state lines. It's not marijuana, right, right. So if you find that the CBDs, if you do experiment with the CBDs and you find that you're not getting the results that you anticipated, try introducing a little bit of THC to the diet, to the treatment, and see if that will kind of enhance the effects that you're looking for on it. Yeah, again, CBDs and CBNs are probably the two main components. CBNs will help with the pain. It's my feeling, and again, I'm not a scientist and I haven't been able to get an answer out of an autistic kid as to why they bang their heads, but it's my opinion that they have a headache and they can't express that it's a headache, right? So they keep trying to get rid of it with their hands. Well, the CBDs will reduce that inflammation, and with the proper diet and proper hydration, that headache will be gone, and that characteristic or that behavior will go with it. So, that's why I'm really happy with or excited about where it could go and the relief that it could provide to some kids that don't have any other alternative. They can't express it to us as to, what's wrong exactly. So, and this is a nice holistic way of trying to figure it out. There's no side effects to it other than being a little lethargic or a little amped up. So it's your persistence, as patients, that you want to explore this, because like I said, there's no side effects to it. Like, nothing's going to happen to your child. There's nothing. You're not going to wake up and from a result of this, your child is going to be in distress or anything like that. So there's a couple of ways, and we can work with whatever is, we can infuse it in anything. Let me put it that way. So whatever you feel most comfortable with. If it's a sucker, like for instance, if a kid comes home from his day at school and you can just hand him a sucker and he can go out and play outside and he gets his afternoon dose and he doesn't even know it. We also put it in, with this water soluble, we can put it in a drink. So you can take the candy, dissolve it in a drink, and have them drink the drink.
So can you just put it in water?
You
Or
can
does it
just,
taste?
no, you can just put it in water and you won't even taste it. No, the powder soluble one. Because when we incorporate it into the candy, you're going to get the sugar and you're going to get the flavoring and all that. But on its own, I just took a little spoonful of it and it's just like flavorless sugar. Is you got that granule taste like sugar does, but none of the taste.
And you have that.
Yeah, yes.